So that's in your sophomore year of high school. Continuing through high school, how did your drug and alcohol use continue?
Well, the more parties that I started end up going to, the more I found out about different drugs. Next was coke. As they say, marijuana is a gateway to uh, all the drugs, pretty much. It was coke. I did anything and everything to forget my past and everything that I had gone through. And coke was there. I tried it, loved it. And then after that, I tried crank. Um, I don't know why I fell in love with crank. I guess it because it made me stay up all night and helped me party even more. But the progression got so bad that I remember my senior year in high school. I just said enough was enough. I wanted to get away from my friends, from my family. Not so much my sister, even though she had moved on to Dublin, California. Um, but it was just my friends and my mom, pretty much. I wanted to get out of that, so I went and started talking to military service recruiters, and joined the Navy right after high school, probably 2 months after high school.
So you joined the Navy. So at that point, does your addiction increase or decrease?
I would say it decreased for a little bit because of boot camp. Um, you're not allowed to drink in boot camp and not allowed to do drugs or any of that. It decreased. I figured, a good 3 solid months of boot camp and being away from all that, it would help me out. But as soon as we graduated, it started up all over again. The drinking did. The drugging didn't start back up at all. Um, but the drinking was back, and it was back in full force. Remember passing out in a wrong pickup truck in Carlsbad, California, and that was a nightmare because nobody could find me that night because I had fallen asleep in somebody else's pickup truck that looked like my cousin's, and I remember making that morning phone call, regretting that phone call to my aunt and uncle, and hearing my cousin screaming in the background, "Where is he? Is he dead? Is he alive?" And I at that point, there was no stopping me. The part you were allowed to drink on base. I went to boot camp in San Diego, and then Radio A school down in San Diego, right there, pretty much on the same compound. And I remember they didn't want you going to Tijuana, so they allowed the drinking age on base to be 18, as long as you were a member of the base in school, whatnot. And we were at the clubs almost every night. Then they shipped me overseas after Radio A school. I ended up in Australia, where the drinking was even worse over there. At the time, I didn't know it, but there was nothing else to do but to drink in the outback, and everywhere you went, it was the most beautiful beaches, and everywhere I went over there, I had a beer in my hand, or the Aussies had probably some of the best weed I ever smoked in my life, and I started smoking over there again, and military pretty much taught you how to drink. They didn't want you to drink, but I guess they said it was all right. Actually put you through some classes to tell you all about alcohol and drugs and everything, and I learned a lot. But that was my progression, and it didn't even stop after the Navy. It kept going.
So at what point did you eventually leave the Navy?
Well, I left the Navy in April of '93. There was an incident I was unfortunately involved in, and had given the ship a bad name, and that's where my last captain's mess was held on the USS Constellation. Got in some trouble with some other shipmates of mine. Don't recall much of that night because I was pretty much intoxicated, but that was the end of my military career. I regret it. I wish I could. I wish I could have stayed in and been a better service member. But alcohol had me at this time. I got into a few incidents in the Navy regarding alcohol and everything. Even in my teenage years, getting arrested. I was fortunate enough to where it was all misdemeanor, and they were all taken off my record. No felonies. I never got caught with drugs or anything, but I was real fortunate.
So you eventually you get discharged from the Navy, and you take up a new career, which you currently to date are still involved in, and that is. I'm a truck driver for Price Chopper, the Gold Corporation. I've been driving truck now for a little over 18 years, and I can honestly say I think I'm a professional truck driver today. I may not have been a professional truck driver when I first started, because I was still involved in a lot of stuff, drinking. I never drank and drove the big truck. I can't ever say that I didn't ever do drugs and drive the big truck, because I did. I was considered a snow driver for a while. I'm lucky I didn't get in trouble. But one day after the Super Bowl a couple years ago, or been almost 5 years now, I woke up and I just said enough was enough. I couldn't take it no more. So at that point, you said, "Hey, I may have a serious problem here," and you knew you needed help when.
I knew I needed help when I woke up that morning. I didn't realize this was the day after the Super Bowl, after the Giants beat New England for the first time, and I know I had won a few dollars that night on a football pool, and